Master Productions.
What's up guys, this is Master and I play World of Warcraft. Today, I'm going to show you my first video. I'm going to try to talk to you about Gladiator Stance. I've seen a lot of videos recently about warriors and even some about Gladiator Stance warriors. And I kind of want to get in the mix. I want to make my own guide and maybe hopefully you guys like it. Today I'm going to talk about a few different things. I'm going to talk about stats, talents, and rotation. First, I'd like to talk about the stats. Stats, they're a little iffy. Some people say some things, some people say others. The first time people go into Glad, they usually pick Mastery, mostly because of our Mastery buff. We gain 5% more Mastery, and our Mastery stat is very important. It gives us attack power. It's very helpful. Directly, it gives us attack power. So some of our abilities, the damage is increased a lot. Some of our abilities are even fully scaled with attack power. So it's a direct damage increase for some abilities. Some people use crit, and there's a few reasons for crit that I'll go over later. I have learned from just, my trial and error, me playing, that I think versatility is the way to go. Versatility, crit, mastery. And let's get rid of Tormach for right now. Versatility, crit, mastery. Versatility, you can scale versatility up a lot. I'm not in PvP combat right now, and I've got 10.5% versatility. It goes up a lot in PvP combat. And that's just direct damage increases. It's if you stack mastery, you're probably not gonna hit an extra 10% mastery just because of how it scales. I wouldn't hit 28% at the increased attack power from scaling mastery. But the 10% versatility that I can scale, it's a direct increase for everything. Those abilities that scale directly with attack power, I think is revenge. They're revenge and deep wounds. They scale directly. So if I increase my attack power by 10%, I increase the damage by 10%. But most of your abilities, like Shield Slam and Devastate and Execute, do damage based off of your weapon damage. So direct attack power isn't going to be as good as direct damage increases. So versatility, crit, like I said, I'm going to explain that. Crit, if every time you get a crit with a Shield Slam or a Devastate, you gain 10 rage and you get enraged, increasing your damage by 10% for 8 seconds. This is amazing. Having that extra crit, you can have a lot of uptime with this buff. Also, Shield Slam crits do make your next Heroic Strike free. Also very important. Mastery is next. There's also a haste soft cap that's actually the first priority, just to where you can easily get 2 shield slams in 1 shield charge buff. However, you get that passively. You don't have to actively stack the haste. So, again, versatility, crit, mastery. When we talk about talents, this is what my talents are. I think, the first tier, it's kind of what you want to do, Juggernaut, Double Time. I like Double Time a lot like Juggernaut. The second tier, Enrage Regeneration, pretty much always. And there's a nice combo I'll talk about in Enrage Regeneration specifically for Gladiator Stance. But pretty much every warrior in every PvP situation would rather have Enrage Regeneration than one of the other two. For the third tier, this is where the actual discussion comes in. Unyielding Strikes increases your DPS the most if you can stick on the target with 100% uptime, which in PvP you can't. In PvP, it's either Heavy Repercussions or Sudden Death. I pick Heavy Repercussions. Sudden Death is easy, it's nice, it's fun to get execute procs. The problem is it does do less DPS, it does less burst, and your burst is reliant on your execute proc. You have to get an execute proc before you burst. And I'll talk about the burst rotation in a little bit. With heavy repercussions, your damage is increased, your burst is increased, and your burst doesn't change at all. You don't have to rely on anything special for your burst. So I pick heavy repercussions. Again, I'll go into rotation and how it would differ with these two. 60, it's very situational. If you want just a one small stun, a more efficient stun, but only on one target, Storm Bolt's the way to go. It's range. You can hit a healer in the background. You know, you can target one target, and if you use a mouse over macro, you can stun the other target without even switching targets. And then I could burst this target and stun the other. Range, it's very helpful. Of course, you want the AoE stun, Shockwave. And if your team already has a lot of stuns and they don't think they need another stun, Dragon's Roar does interrupt, it does knock people back, and it does more damage. So it's just situational. This next talent, Mass Spell Reflect or Vigilance. I like Vigilance a lot like Mass Spell Reflect. If I'm doing RBGs or 5s, I'm going to use Mass Spell Reflect. But if I'm using 3s and 2s, I'm going to use Vigilance. And the reasoning is because I can use Vigilance on my healers while they're getting bursted, and it helps them out a lot. Basically, they just turn it into their own essential move. Every time they call out Vigilance, it's on them. I got it on them. Mass Spell Reflect is, again, it's very good, but the cooldown's increased. I can Spell Reflect more efficiently for myself without it. And if I can Mass Spell Reflect a CC off an enemy for my healer, but if my healer gets CC'd, I'm a tank. They're probably not going to kill me. I'm not a tank, but I have tank cooldowns. They're probably not going to kill me. If they CC me, which I can do negate better with Spell Reflection, my healer's on his own. So I think Vigilance is the better bet for a lot of comps with Gladiator Warrior. The last tier, or the second to last rather, I use Bloodbath. Bladestorm's not that great for Glad. Avatar is okay, but there's a few problems. One, it's half a second longer cooldown. Bloodbath works perfectly with the trinket, the unused trinket. I love it. It's perfect. It's great. The burst is huge because I get the 10% increased damage for the trinket. And then all your damage turns into a 30% of your damage. Well, you do damage, and an extra 30% rather turns into a dot over 6 seconds. So it kind of elongates your burst, but it makes it more frequent and it makes it stronger. So I like Bloodbath. Of course, you have to use Gladiator's off if you're going to be Glad Warrior. With Glyphs, it's kind of one of those things where you can pick and choose what you like fits best. I think Hindering Strikes, simply because you're always heroic striking, they're almost always going to have that slow on them if you're using that glyph. So I think it's important. It makes it where you don't have to hamstring. And that's 10 rage. It's not on global cooldown. You don't have to worry about that, but that's an extra 10 rage. And like I said, I don't know if I've said it yet, but I'll talk about the rotation. Getting a lot of rage and rage dumping for burst is very important. And even losing 10 rage, it's going to, cause you to lose some burst here and there. Root interruption, it's nice to interrupt a healer and then burst another target and have an extra 6% burst damage. It's very helpful. That 6% on burst goes a long way, so I think it's important. Lastly, which a lot of people probably disagree with me at first, Glyph of Wind and Thunder. The reason I use this is because you can't charge if they're 8 yards or closer, and Thunderclap hits 8 yards and closer. So basically, if they're in that sweet spot, especially in PvP when they're moving and there's lag, you'll have times where you can't charge them, but you also won't be able to hit them with Thunderclap. And the Thunderclap slows them. So it's very important on things like Resto Druids that can, shapeshift and get just out of melee range where you can't slow them. You can Thunderclap them, slow them, and get right on their ass. It adds to the mobility that Gladiators already have because, of course, Shield Charge is a 10-yard charge. So it just adds to that. I found a lot of use for it. Don't knock it until you try it. Just try it out and see what you think about the extra utility of having a 12-yard Thunderclap instead. Also, that makes spreading dots easier. And Thunderclap Gladiator Warrior Dot Cleave, it can fit in a rot comp. It's that good. Look, this dot, notice I'm not in PvP combat. It goes more up to like 45k in PvP combat over 15 seconds. All I gotta do is hit one move, Thunderclap, and it hits everybody. That dot hits everybody within 12 yards of me. It's great for dot cleave. It's great for rot comps. To me, it's the way to go. But you know, figure out your glyphs. And like I said, they're a little bit more, you can pick and choose. It's just what feels comfortable. Lastly, and most importantly, is rotation. The problem with the rotation for Glad Warrior is people just rage dump randomly. There's a lot of Glad Warriors that'll use a macro, and this macro will use Heroic Strike automatically when you use your other abilities. They usually macro it into Devastate, so Devastate will also use Heroic Strike. The problem with that is you are rage starved the entire time, and as I'm fixing to show you, Glad Burst, Glad damage is all based on rage pooling. If you're not bursting, you don't want to use Heroic Strike unless, like I just did, I just got a proc. If you get a proc, you use it, of course. You don't want to waste a proc. Or if you're getting to the point where you may overflow rage, like right now, I'm going to use a Heroic Strike. I had 95. I don't want to waste rage, so I went ahead and used a Heroic Strike. I've got procs, you know, there you go, Heroic Strike. Other than that, you don't use Heroic Strike unless you have Shield Charge active. So when you use Shield Charge, you want to pull up energy, you want to pull up rage, rather. You want to wait for a Shield Slam to come up, and you're going to Shield Charge, Shield Slam, and use Heroic Strikes in between this rotation. So Shield Slam, Revenge, Devastate, and then reset the rotation. And you're going to use Heroic Strikes in between while Shield Charge is active. If it's not active and you're not fixing to go over Rage like I am and you don't have a proc, then you're not using Heroic Strike. You just don't. You wait for a Shield Charge and then do a burst, which is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. That's all Gladiator damage is. It's small bursts over and over and over and over. When you're actually bursting, you want to have a charge. You want to charge because the 2-set makes your Shield Slam critical strike chance go up by 50% after you use charge. So I charge. There's the Shield Slam buff. You want to make sure you have a decent amount of energy. I don't right now, but I'm just going to show you guys rotation. So charge, then use your Bloodbath Trinket macro. You're going to use Berserk, and you're going to use Berserker Rage. Well, I'm going to use Berserk. If you have a race cooldown, you're going to use it. But you're going to use Bloodbath, and you're going to use Berserker Rage if you're not worried about getting, like it says, feared or incapacitated. Then you're going to Shield Charge. You're going to Shield Slam, Revenge, Devastate in that order. Those are the priorities. Shield Slam, Revenge, and then I'm going to Heroic Strike in between all of those moves while Shield Charge is active. So I'll do it a little bit fast this time. On a burst, Charge, Shield Charge, Slam, Revenge, Devastate, and I'm doing Heroic Strikes in between. You want to keep your charge up, like I just used it again, and you're just going to keep that rotation. Very simple. Charge in for the crit buff, Shield Charge, Shield Slam, Revenge, Devastate, and you're going to use Heroic Strike in between. Of course, you incorporate your burst cooldowns in that, and that's how you get your burst. One thing to note is this is, of course, the rotation for heavy repercussions. If you're using heavy repercussions and you don't have Shield Charge active, Revenge actually does more damage. So if you don't have Shield Charge active, you want to Revenge, then Shield Slam, then Devastate. Revenge becomes priority if you don't have Shield Charge up. Also, Revenge is always priority if you have Execute procs and you're running Sudden Death. Of course, if you're running Sudden Death, you don't want to burst without a proc. You want to get a proc, and that's going to be your main ability. Then you're going to Shield Charge, Slam, or actually Shield Charge, Revenge, Slam, Devastate, Heroic Strike. So that's how it varies. Heavy repercussions, rotation changes based on whether you have Shield Charge active or not. So it's a nice little setup. It's really fun. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a burst. Do realize I don't have my race cooldown active, but that's okay. So I'm going to charge, Shield Charge, Shield Slam, Revenge, Devastate, Heroic Strike in between while I have my damage buffs up. As you see, I'm very quickly hitting 10k, or 24k rather, without my troll buff. And then it's gonna go down, but very slightly after my burst because the dot is still ticking. So I'm maxed out on about 25k right there. Very good burst. Oh, at 26 rather. Very good burst, and that's every minute. That burst is every minute. 26k on a dummy is not bad at all. You incorporate stuns in that. You incorporate interrupts with that, especially with root interruption. You've got extra damage to do. It's very fun. It's very viable. It does a lot of damage. People don't know it because it's, of course, a prot spec. It branches off of prot. But you spec it in Glad Stance, and your damage goes way up. So I think I talked about everything. You don't rage dump unless you have shield charge. If you're using heavy repercussions while shield charge is active, shield slam is priority, then revenge, then devastate. In every other situation, if you aren't running heavy repercussions and you don't have shield charge up, then it's going revenge first, then shield slam, then devastate, because revenge does more damage when heavy repercussions isn't active. I want to say that's everything. That's everything for the damage rotation. I did say I would talk about Enrage Regeneration, why it's better for Glad. So Enrage Regeneration works on a damage percentage, okay? Last Stand increases your maximum health by 30%. It gives you 30% health and then increases your maximum by 30%, that same 30% health. So it's actually a heal for 30% of your maximum health. And then Enrage Regeneration, so 30% and then 30% of your maximum health. Well, since your maximum health goes up by 30%, you're really healing for 30% of Last Stand, and then you're healing for 30% of 130% health of your maximum health. So it heals for a lot. And I'll show you guys that real quick. That's why Enrage Regeneration is the way to go. It's a way to go for every spec, but especially Glad. Watch, I'll watch my health go up. Those are my 3-minute burst heal cooldown. I'm going to get rid of Last Stand to show you. I just went from 100k to full with a 3-minute cooldown. It's very much like a lay on hands. So guys, there's the stats, rotation, talents, and that little tip for the heal. I want to thank you guys for watching. I know this is my first video. If I've done anything wrong, if I've done anything right, comment, like, dislike it if you didn't like it. If you want to subscribe, I am going to be putting up more videos in the near future. But tell me what I did right, and most importantly, tell me what I did wrong. Constructive criticism is very important, and it's what I need to learn and to figure this video creation out. So, like I said, thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you next time.